when it's my turn?
Sure. That's not a problem. We'll do that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. Yeah. Please introduce.
That is Dr. Obey Skule,
Yep.
and
Okay.
and she's a sustainability expert
Mm-hmm.
from the UK. So would be calling. She's the second speaker, and I think would upload her documents. If you would send it, please. I think can we
She's
receive?
going to send it.
Yeah, I'll send it now. Thanks.
We are live currently. We are live currently. So um, okay. So we have Dr. Sui. Okay.
Hello, C. Welcome on board.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Please
Okay.
introduce.
This is Dr. Sui, assistant professor at Cyprus International University, and you're welcome, sir. And we have Dr. Sule,
Thank you.
Francis Sule, from the UK, and then we have our mommy in the house, the number one everywhere. You know, she's a youth development strategist. She has a PhD in pharmacology from the University of Ibadan, assistant professor of pharmacology at Ogun State University, former National Research Council resident fellow at Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, 10 years tenured Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, CIDA, in the United States. She, I mean, her resume is long, so I think in introducing her right now, when it's time for the start, which will be in about a minute. We are waiting for a couple of people to join up, so we can start immediately. So, Omar, my name is Frank, and Omar Norom is with me. Would be hosting this webinar, and to our viewers, we say welcome, welcome. All corner of the world you are viewing from, on YouTube or any of our platform, we say welcome. All right. This webinar is designed to bridge the gap between different educational contexts and the direct, rigorous approach necessary for research and in most international universities.
Yes, my name is Omar, and by joining this program, you will benefit first-hand knowledge on research practices and tools to have on an edge with proper decision making and to help increase your knowledge in doing research.
And in furtherance of this event, we aim to provide a comprehensive platform for students and entrepreneurs to explore diverse research skills within their field.
Yeah, and the tools and the methods that we're going to be discussing today are different methodology training, academic writing,
Mhm,
critical analysis,
mhm.
resource access options, and this event seeks to equip attendees with valuable insights and connection vital for their academic success and professional career.
This event uh, would consist of keynote speaker, our esteemed mommy in the house. She's going to give us the support that we need, as well as the other speakers in the house. Uh, the keynote session will be taken by Dr. Fumi Ajayi, PhD, FCP, FIST, FNAPPSA. I know you think it's
There's
a
a lot of
mouthful, yeah, but
that's
I
a
mean, over the
lot of
years and years and years of research.
on youth development strategy, PhD in pharmacology from the University of Ibadan, and also an assistant professor of pharmacology, Ogun State University. former National Research Council resident research fellow at Walter Reed, like Frank earlier mentioned, with over 10 years tenured Center for Drug Evaluation and Research.
14 years with Procter& Gamble, team lead global safety surveillance and analysis, and global clinical governance and compliance organization, and leader in the global clinical science organization, including strategic planning for clinical work for multiple business sectors. Chair of Honors and Awards Committee, Strategic Vision Committee, and member of the 2006 and 2012 Annual Program Committees. She has led regulatory review of application for anti-infection, effective, I beg your pardon, special pathogen and immunologic drugs, and development of guidance documents. Two-time chair of Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, Committee for Advanced Scientific Education in the United States. I think that's we keep going on and
The
on.
portfolio is so much, and we're so happy that this is happening because we're going to learn a lot
A
today.
lot,
And
a
for those
lot.
of you watching, we say thank you so much. While we bring the
I mean,
keynote speaker
we are
on.
not it doesn't stop there. We need to know, because research is a big part of life,
Yes,
decision making. All
absolutely,
right, so they need to understand that who we have in the house to share knowledge with them is well guarded.
absolutely.
So she's a fellow of the London Institute of Science and Technology, long-term reviewer for the Journal of Clinical Pharmacology, founding member, former secretary, past president, Nigerian Association of Pharmacists and Pharmaceutical Scientists in Americas. That's the NAPAS.
Yes,
NAPASA.
Napsa or something.
NAPSA.
Yes.
NAPSA, we got it right. Mommy, I hope we got it right, and you correct us if we are wrong. Former secretary and past chair of Indiana, Ohio discussion group of the Association of America uh, Pharmacology Students. Member, board of directors of the United Ways of Warren County, Ohio. Adjunct professor, College of Pharmacy, University of Cincinnati. United States Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, Director Special Citation. I mean, the citation keeps coming.
Yes.
They keep coming. This is one of the awards she's gotten. People making Nigeria proud. We can't have more if we need it. Uh, United States Food and Drugs Administration Outstanding Service Award, and so on and so forth. She's her area of interest includes, but not limited to, biopharmaceutical, pharmacokinetics. I mean, this is such a mouthful. It tells you the amount of effort that goes into this. Pharmacodynamics and drug safety. I mean, those of us within the that discipline will know that this is serious business, and we are here to say thank you, ma, for uh, and indulge us if most of your awards and the citation is reduced to make time. I hope we you can help us with that. Thank you, ma. Welcome.
Thank you very much. And thanks to both you, my wonderful Oma, and Frank for putting this together. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present. And I sincerely appreciate my co-presenters here, the learned panel that is here to present today, as well as everyone that is attending this wonderful webinar, the title of which is Empowering Success Through Research. My keynote presentation will be focused on giving us a few tidbits about research in general. So we start by defining what research is all about. We talk about the research strategy, and then we look briefly at what the qualities of a good researcher needs to be. And then everybody talks about knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, whether, in the general realm of things or biblically, for those of us that, want to look into the uh, spiritual literature, the Bible. People talk about importance of knowledge. What do we mean by that? And then we look at the importance of knowledge-based approach to data analysis for research, and then talk about the importance of information generation, talk about understanding research using clinical trial, which is my space that I practice in as an example. And then we look at the importance of data quality control, or what people call as the quality assurance. The reason for that is that we don't want garbage. We want to make sure that the data we are collecting is collected in a good way, and we have a system for doing that. And of course, we do the conclusion. So here we go. When we talk about research, research is a creative and systematic, diligent way of looking into something, or what we call maybe inquiry or investigation, and people call it study. Whichever way we label it, is one very important step to having solution to problems. We need to study it. We need to be systematic. We need to think about it carefully. And that is how a lot of problems are solved. We can actually discover new knowledge by asking questions in a way that enable us to study or investigate that particular issue, or use this research method to increase our knowledge on a specific issue or problem. And there are quite a few methods that people have used to understand or uncover knowledge. One, under quantitative method, one is looking at a methodology that the outcome is actually numerically presented data. It could be categorical data, which contains data that can be grouped into categories like countries, rivers, gender, universities. Those are just categorical data. It could be discrete data, which are those that can be counted in whole numbers, like number of students in the class, number of local government areas, things like that. It could be continuous data, like height, body temperature, and so on and so forth. And the other method is qualitative method, which yields data that represent information and concepts that are not represented by numbers. This data is often gathered from focus groups, like when people interview various groups, or response from surveys, or even information from observations or maps. So when we talk about research strategy, we start from the key question, which is the one on top. I don't know whether you can see my cursor. So here, it deals with the issues at hand. What is the question, or the issue, or the subject matter that we are trying to understand? For example, I have a friend who is a professor of history. When she was in graduate school at the university here in the US, Columbia University, she studied the work of Mrs. Ransome-Kuti in terms of the economic empowerment that she was able to enable as part of her work, life work actually, in the good old days in the early 1900s. And she had to come to Nigeria. She's she's an American, not in Nigeria, but she spent years in Nigeria understudying and having interviews, people in Abeokuta, Lagos, Ibadan, going to the library, and also library in the UK, uncovering a lot of information about that era. So the key question for her, for example, is, how did Mrs. Ransom Kuti start the movement that led to the empowerment of women economically in that era? Then the objectives. The objective will be what we are trying to understand. Why do we want to understand it? What is the importance of doing that research? And then the method. How do we do it? The results. We yield the findings, but it has to be data that is well analyzed, correctly analyzed, to give us the correct findings. And then the outcomes or conclusion will be, okay, now we know the so what. The so what for my friend that is a history professor today. She was able to publish books. She was able to talk about Nigeria proudly. She was able to demonstrate and showcase the work of the Adire, that people were making at that time, or other things that they did to improve and increase the women's economic power. Data management is where we'll be talking about how do we handle our data towards the end of the discussion. And we need to make sure that there are nice to have and must have in terms of data management. Must have would be the quality, the strategy for ensuring that the quality of that data is as robust as it can be. Otherwise, whatever data we have will be junk in and junk out, may not actually stand the test of time. Now, when we talk about a researcher, what should that person be to be able to be well known and respected? So a good researcher must be the person in the room that makes sure that the best ideas are being put forward. That is the smart solution. And to be able to do that, they need to be able to start with the end in mind. What do we want to accomplish? What are we looking for? Thinking about that, we enable that person to step back and come up with how do we get to that end, what we're looking for. And that person must be able to understand the critical issues that need to be addressed during that research time or period. And then the person has to be able to understand the risk involved. Risk may include things like, are we going to be able to get to everything that we need to get to, everyone that we need to get to, or if it is scientific research, are we going to be able to get all the items that we need for this research in a good time to be able to do it? Do we have the right people to study, the right patient to study if it is a clinical research? In the case of my friend, the historian, some of the risk is, will she be able to find somebody who will stand along with her, partner with her to do the research in a world that she's not familiar with, in a country where most of the people she wants to talk to are non-English speaking people? Will she be able to find the right person to do the interpretation for her? Secondly, a good researcher must be competent and must be proactive. And so this person has to be able to do his or her homework ahead of time, read, understand the landscape and the land mines. What are the areas that he or she needs to avoid? The person has to be a brave, audacious, out of the box thinker, not just following the crowd. That person has to have the ability to leverage what people refer to as fire prevention, be able to think about the issues ahead of time and be able to think for ways out and not fighting the fire during the study or the research. The person must be a person of integrity who is transparent, is able to engage in a timely manner when there is a need to discuss with the team, and is a trustworthy person. And as we know, trust is based largely on the integrity of the person and the timely engagement that that person usually have. And when we talk about research leadership, a research leader, somebody who is a leader within the space, is a person that provides very sensible, meaningful, scientifically based solutions by leveraging his or her technical expertise for translating scientific findings into product development and brand building innovations. And this is with regards to the clinical space. And this can be turned around into any other space. So this is somebody who is able to leverage his or her technical expertise for translating information obtained into meaningful end product, like my friend. And I'm using this friend because his history way removed from clinical and a lot of the scientific, research that people do, so that we know that this is true for any space that we're, dealing with within the research space. So in her case, she was able to use her technical expertise, wisdom, and knowledge to make sure that at the end of the day, she has herself made or become an advocate for Nigerian women, advocate for the power, economic power that Nigerian women had in that era and continues today. The key here is the ability to quickly develop smart technical insights that will directly shape anything that we are trying to do. But in the space of clinical or anything else, the product development and commercial innovations, this can be in the space of anyone making anything, or in engineering, what it is, what are we trying to develop? What is the product? What is the end result that we are looking for? And how do we make it to be well accepted by the consumer, so the people that this is being developed for? And, this directly supports technology and product development because, the sound scientifically based and the technical solution is very much needed in order for the technology or the product to be developed. And of course, this also accelerates commercial innovation and brand building, because this is the way that we can improve our ability to market the product that is being developed. And that product doesn't have to be any product like a television set or radio or anything, or medicine in the space where I worked. It can be in any space because consumers are all over the place. Even for the historian, there are consumers, the students, the public, and everybody else that is writing the history of our nation. For example, in the case of my friend that did a lot of work and has published a lot of journals and books to showcase what she learned from digging or researching into the life of this woman. We know that people talk about knowledge as knowledge is power, which is true, but only true when that knowledge is used So it's only the knowledge that is leveraged, that is used appropriately, that is power. That's when you have power from it. And this is the basis for the reason or the quest to gain insight about the question or system that is being investigated. For example, if we want to gain insight into how, for in the age of this, we call it global warming, we want to gain insight into that. The basis of doing that, the reason behind that, is the knowledge that we want to gain. So we want to know more about how global warming is occurring, what are the issues, what are the do's and don'ts, what is causing it. Those are the questions that we need to ask ourselves as we are looking into it, digging into the issue, so that we can gain insights about that particular system, global warming. And understanding is based on the knowledge that one has obtained. That's when we have understanding. And the understanding is what provides the basis for informed decision making. If you don't understand it, we can just reach any conclusion, but that won't be a good decision if it is not informed, if it's not backed by knowledge, by data, by a lot of information that has been pulled together to understand what is going on. And of course, wisdom is making informed decision in a timely manner, that is at the right time, for the right reason. This leads us to what people refer to knowledge-based data analysis. And this approach is not only for the scientific world, it's for everyone. And this is because knowledge cannot be obtained without information, which is the data. And that data has to be robust, has to be quality. It's not just anything. We have to spend time to think about how to get the data, spend time on how to store the data, find time in how to ensure that that data is kept in a way that it cannot be corrupted. Maximum knowledge extraction and understanding is centered on the principles of knowledge discovery, which is the literature searches, when we do literature searches, and knowledge creation, which is the studies that are conducted. So you have to be able to marry the two together. We search the literature, just like my friend in history, that the history professor did. She went through the literature. She went to the library in the United States, library at UI. She went to the library in UK, because a lot of the connection between UK and Nigeria. She got basic information, and then she's now carried out her studies by going to the area, coming to Nigeria. Then it was in the 70s, and then made sure that she studied what she thought are the areas that she needs to get quality information from. Thirdly, generation of information, which is data, and extraction of hidden knowledge from the generated data, either from the literature or from former studies or experiments, requires carefully thought through data analysis and planning. So we have to think about that ahead of time. How are we generating this data? And when we generate the data, how do we want to analyze it to be able to uncover the hidden knowledge in the data? Finally, it is important to make the most of every generated data via integrated knowledge-based data analysis approaches. And using this method to learn and confirm the insights obtained over time provides an effective opportunity for gaining knowledge over the life of a research program. And again, I'm going to history. My friend, who is a history professor at Cornell University here, over the years, She goes to Nigeria more than most of us do. She has a researcher, a group, a company in Nigeria that does a lot of things for her in terms of, surveys that she sent out, interviewing people. And she does this, and it's like a building block, like Lego. You are building on top of it. You are adding to it each time. So you learn something, you confirm that it is true, you add more knowledge. And this is the best way of understanding and gaining knowledge over the life of that research program. Each time you're learning more, gaining more understanding, gaining more wisdom, and using the information generated and the outcomes, the conclusions, to change lives. Now, when we talk about the importance of information generation, it is very important to employ smart literature search strategies and or study design. If we are studying something, we need to have a protocol, which is the study design. How do we want to understand what we want to understand? How do we want to go about it? And the attributes of a smart study design or protocol, and the protocol is not only for scientific studies, also for any study, we need a protocol. Protocol is how do I want to do this study, research? And it starts from the key information we want to obtain, what is the problem, the objectives, and how we want to really go about it. So that study design or protocol must be efficiently and informatively designed. The data obtained should be and must be of high quality because it uses robust data collection strategy. And smart study design will enable maximum extraction of hidden knowledge from the data that is collected and facilitate maximum learning and confirming opportunities. And when I talk about learning and confirming opportunities, it's like we learn something, get information. This is the conclusion this time around. We need to confirm it the next time to make sure that, that what we learned before is actually true. And in a sense, it may be from a bigger pool of people. In the case of my professor, friend, history professor friend, she's been going back. She's been studying more and more people, asking more and more questions, and building on what she got about 25 or so years ago, maybe 30 years ago, actually, in the 70s. And then confirming all of that and being able to weave everything together to be able to make sure that, yes, what she is saying is the truth. And it is important, and we can have lessons learned from that, studying the information from that era. And of course, smart study designs will offer ability for us to combine several secondary objectives without compromising the study power and primary objective. Not only in science or in the area where I operate, which is clinical trial, that this is true. It's also true. Again, I go back to the history. She's done things on Adire, which has, is connected to economic power in those days, but she's done something on other aspects of that movement at that time. The demonstration that they had, what that meant, how can people benefit from the thinking at that time, and how bold those women were at that time, in order for the women of this generation to learn from it and to be able to come together as a group, bind together as a group, and do things for themselves, things that will help improve their lot in life. So let me go to where my area of profession is, which is clinical trials. So use that as an example when we talk about research. So if I'm running a clinical trial, for example, the first question is, why am I doing this? And who will be the subject that I want to study? Because in clinical trials, we are looking for, how to understand how a drug works for the most part, or how, in the area of baby care, and we have, diapers, how that diaper works. Is there any leakage? How long can they wear that diaper, the babies, without getting rash? How much rash are we getting if it is worn without the use of any other cream or things like that? So those are some of the things. Why are we doing it? Who are we studying? Babies, adults, are they patients? Are just consumers? And how do we want to go about that particular study? Do you want to go to their homes? You want to give them things to use their homes? Or we have a study, a clinical trial site where we go to run studies? Because what we want to do requires either frequent blood drawn, which they can do at home, or collection of other information like blood pressure or temperature that they need to monitor over time. All of those will be, how do we want to do it and where do we want to do it? We need to understand the challenges. For example, what are the external challenges, the endpoints that we want to measure? Let's say it's a supplemental drug. You say like, calcium supplement, or, vitamin D supplement, or any other supplement, or it is a drug that is over the counter. It used to be medicine, but because the safety and the efficacy is well defined and they know it's very safe, it's now over the counter and we can go to the store and buy it. Or is it a prescription? So the endpoint is different. The challenges in running those studies will be different. And the other thing is, do we have existing method for, understanding this particular issue that we can use for this research, or there is none? Then internal challenges, which is internal within the company or within the team or within the university, whichever space we are dealing with. For in my own case is the industry. Decision making about go, no go. Do we want to do this or we don't want to do this study? Do we have money to do the study? When must we get the study done? By when do we need the result? Do we have a testable population? Whether we are looking for patients because they with disease, or we can test this in healthy population. Those are some of the questions and challenges that we have to understand and find ways to discuss clearly within the team before the research is put in place. And then there are opportunities, so we need to make sure that we have a development plan. And we must make sure that the clinical development plan meets the business plan. The business as a whole needs information to be able to succeed, to support the product. And so we need to make sure that we have the success criteria well described. We need contingency plan in case things don't work the way we want it to work. Like maybe there's a shift in the timing of when the result is obtained, or maybe there's a shift in the interest of the company for supporting that. We need contingency plan. We need to develop the risk and also how to mitigate the risk. And we need to make sure that we have a good definition of what the go, no go decision will look like. So when we talk about clinical research, we need reason for running the research. And for that, the reason will be defined in this way. We have to talk about what is needed. Why are we doing it? In this example here, clinical data was needed to support product claims. The product claims is what we write on the product, fever reduced within 30 minutes or whatever it is. or this supplement supports good immune system. Anything. Those will be the claims. Those are the product claims. And mostly the healthcare professionals, the doctors, the nurses, the pharmacists, they are the people that actually recommend the drug or prescribe the drug to the end users. And these professionals want to base their recommendation on clinical results, because that is what drives the use of the product by new consumers. If the healthcare professionals are not recommending the particular product, people won't use it. And if the product is not working or providing or not as effective as it is claimed on the product claim, people will not use it. The healthcare professionals will not recommend it. So what's possible? Because we know what's needed. We know it's possible to run clinical study using a very good protocol or study design in order to come up with results that we win with the healthcare professionals and the consumers. And to do this, we need to use adequate study design, adequate data collection system, and data analysis that is very well executed in order to get to that endpoint where we can prove that the drug is effective, it is safe, and healthcare professionals can actually feel comfortable to recommend it. And of course, how do we use the outcome or the result of that study? That result generally, if it is good, if it is very well done, and it is very well analyzed and very well discussed or presented, it will drive the healthcare professionals' recommendation. It will drive new consumer usage. And of course, it will support consistent use by the current consumers. So in the space of clinical data, the need for clinical data spans the product life cycle. Like when you look at technology development, where the identification of actives and the combination is generated. And that is where, the formulation development is done. The formulation is put together. The regulatory strategy is developed, and, the proof of whether the drug is working according to the mechanism of action, that's when we have that information. So even on that technology development, the clinical data is needed to really support these 4 categories or points that are made here. Again, in the product development, clinical data is also necessary and important to identify clinically based claims. And then the clinical data is also important to understand how to conduct studies that will help support the claims, the product claims that we want to make. And it's also important to develop and prepare the global regulatory submissions for approval. And of course, clinical data is also important in brand building, because that's how we can come up with new product benefits and claims. We can compare product A and B from 2 different companies and say ours is better than theirs, or it's as good as. And then it supports the professional credentialing, because in talking with the healthcare professionals, we need to be able to say, this is what this drug does, and this is the clinical data to support it. And also in advertising, and also publications that is needed for the consumers or patients to be able to read and understand that the company is doing the best they can to actually provide them with the satisfactory data for them to be comfortable using the medication. Everything that is done is usually by integrated team approach. And on the left is the description of what is on the right, anyway, presented in two different forms. So we have what is called the ideation team, which you have the clinical scientist that defines what is technically feasible for that particular product. And we have the product researchers that helps to understand the consumer meaningful claims, and the regulatory or legal scientists that understand what the Food and Drug Administration or Federal Trade Commission and some other regulatory bodies want. So that's the ideation team. And then we have the substantiation of desired benefits and claims, that these ideation teams, once they understand what is needed, will be able to come up with the way or the protocol for substantiating the desired benefit or the claims we want to make. And of course, documentation and approval of the proof of claim and legal and management approval is typically something that is jointly worked on by the team. And we have the defense of the product benefits and the claims, which also come up from the work of that team. So when you look at the three groups highlighted here, we can say that integrated team-based approach, which is on the right, defines what is technically possible. Defines what the consumer meaningful needs are, and they make sure that the research itself keeps the compliant issues in mind, which is the regulatory or the legal requirements, as they are putting that protocol together for that particular research. So let's go to the quality control policy. It is very important to actually make sure that we have data quality control policy, and it has to be strategic. If it's not strategic, we have too many things to really focus on or worried about unnecessarily. But when it is strategic, it speaks to exactly what is needed for that particular research program. These are innovative capabilities that leverage quality systems and trainings that promote standardization, compliance, and simplified work processes. And this is an example of what data quality control program will look like. You need the foundation, that is the leadership, the work standards, the regulatory standards, which like ICH, GCPs, anything, and be able to have that leadership set the priorities for what must be true, what is needed to make sure that the data quality is sound. Then the build part of it is where the work processes are defined, are really worked on, and make sure that the work processes are validated. There's an understanding of what needs to be done by every member of the team, and that we're able to optimize the system as we go along. And of course, the maintenance will be the SOPs, how to renew the SOPs. The SOPs are the work processes. How do we renew it? How do we revise it as needed? Make sure that we have the CV and qualification of everybody working, and then we have regular training for everybody that is involved in the data quality control arena. So when we look at the key compliance characteristics of a quality assurance system, we are looking at the system owner, which is the leader, the validation of the system, that is how the data is collected, the compliant with regulatory requirements, and that it is secured, which means that whatever data is in it is secured, and how the data is generated, no one can go into the system and manipulate the system or the data in the system. And that goes to, it has to be available. Confidentiality, especially in the area of clinical trial, the integrity of the system, the compliance, and then it has to be accountable. Accountability is a big piece of that. So in conclusion, as each of us researchers partner with others to build a career in this research area, the focus, enthusiasm, the keen effort, the tenacity, and collaboration ability are critical ingredients for a rewarding research career anywhere and everywhere in the world. And the reason for this is that no one can do it by himself or herself. We need to build together. We need to make sure that we have mentors, even if I am an individual researcher working on my PhD or my master's or my BSc, and I'm just, I need to do this project. I need to make sure that I team up with others. I need mentors. I need classmates that I can ask questions from. I need professors that I can go to anytime. I need to make sure that I share my ideas and how I'm trying to get this research done in such a way that the outcome will be okay. So I need others to listen to me and say, okay, yeah, you're right. Or if there is any reason for them to ask me to think differently, at least the opportunity is there. So the collaboration is important, and we have to be very keen. We have to be very focused, and we have to be ready to do the work in a way that is highly rewarding at the end of the day, because it's done with a lot of integrity. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be part of this wonderful webinar today.
Thank you, Ma. And we've been richly blessed. You've talked about quality control, getting valid results for better decision making, idea sharing for research, positive outcome, and peer review. Quality control, like I would always say, in this time of fake news, have news. Quality research is important. Life-saving issues, um, research is important. Thank you very much, Ma. And concerning the questions, we'll be needing answers. We have questions already coming in, and we'll be giving them answers from your perspective as well. Thank you, Ma. And then we'll be going on with the first presenter, um, Miss Ella. Miss Ella is going to be presenting on issues, the role of digital tools in research development. Uh, we are bringing her on stage, and this is Miss Ella. Miss Ella, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You can present.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on the time you're joining us. Thank you so much, Omar and Frank, for having me here. I don't know if you can see my screen. I have my screen backstage. Omar, if you could please project it on the screen for me. Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much. All right. So, in a very short while, I'm going to be sharing with you the role of digital tools in research. Mommy has already spoken a lot about research, and I've been taking notes as a PhD researcher myself, and I'm so excited. I feel like this is more beneficial to me than every other person here because I am the youngest researcher in the house. So, as someone who works really well in the digital space and someone who is a comms person, I happen to use a lot of digital tools, not just for research, but for the work that I do. And I happen to enjoy the benefit of smart work, if you permit me to say that. So, a little bit about me before I get into what I have to share with you today. I am a PhD candidate at Cyprus International University, currently studying communications and media studies. I'm also the president of the Nigerian Student Union, the CEO of Hexamedia, a comms agency that works with social enterprises and nonprofits, helping them to leverage digital tools for growth. I'm also the country director of NOB Foundation, a sickle cell NGO based off in the United States. I am also a proud gender advocate and a digital tools enthusiast. I love digital tools, anything that makes my work easier, anything that saves me time, anything that helps me collaborate with as many people as possible. And believe me, in the last 5, 6 years of working in the online space, I've been able to meet with a lot of people leveraging digital platforms, even without being in the same space with them. So, having to use digital tools for whatever it is that you would want to use it for is very, very important. So, what are digital tools? Very simple programs, websites, online resources, anything that makes it easier for you to complete a task. Very, very simple. It's nothing that I'm sure a lot of you listening to me do not know about already. And I'm sure a lot of you already use this. So I'm not going to spend so much time talking about what it is, how you can use it, all of that, because I know we are the tech generation for some of us that are here, right? But then digital tools can be used for various purposes. Collaboration, right? We're here on this platform having to work together, basically collaborating from different worlds in different time zones. And we're leveraging this to share our knowledge. And so this is a very perfect example for collaboration. And then we have digital tools for content creation. For those of us who are on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, everyone on that platform leverages digital tools to create content, whether it's text, images, video, audio, whatever it is, digital tools are always being used. And the major reason why we're here is for digital tools in education. And over the time, you would see that digital tools have actually transformed education and made education and learning a more immersive experience, a more exciting experience for a lot of students, with the use of different platforms, resources, that helps personalize our learning and also improve instruction, making life easy for the teachers and also for the students. And finally, productivity, right? Productivity tools leveraging the digital platforms are like, it's really amazing how you can leverage calendars, how you can leverage project management tools, tax planners, your everything put in on one platform, just to make life easy for you and to make things swift. So digital tools are very important in the world that we find ourselves with the rise of AI, machine learning, and a lot of other things. And so bringing it back to why we're here, research. Why is digital tool very important, or why are digital tools very important when it comes to research in the modern world that we find ourselves? The very first thing is it helps us to streamline the research processes. So you're reducing time, right, and the effort required to actually carry out certain tasks like data collection, like analysis, and also collaboration. Mommy was talking about having mentors in this space when it comes to research, having to work with people. I'm here based in Cyprus, and I have, excuse me, I have people in Nigeria, I have people in the UK, in US that I actually collaborate with on the work that I do, helping me with my research. And this is done using digital tools. Also having to collect data, having to analyze the data that I'm actually collecting, because you have to collect data, right? Digital tools helps to streamline all of these processes and reduces the time, effort, also helps you to save money. Imagine having to travel to UK or US to carry out my interviews for my research. That's going to be a lot of money, a lot of time that I'm going to have to invest in it. But with the use of platforms like Zoom, with the use of platforms like Microsoft Teams, I can do that easily from my room, right? And so very, very easy to make use of digital tools. Also, digital tools in research helps you to reduce repetitive tasks. So you find that there are sometimes we have to keep doing some certain tasks over and over and over again. With the use of different digital tools, you can just, create the code or just put in the different key pointers that you want, and life becomes easy. You don't have to repeat all of those tasks again. The AI tool or the digital platform is actually just getting those things done for you. So it reduces all the complex repetitions that you have to keep doing and just helps you become more creative, and you're able to focus on other important parts of your research work. Also, digital tools are important because it helps to facilitate collaboration amongst researchers, which I've already mentioned before, having to work with people from different geographical locations. You're able to collaborate with them, work with them. If you check all of these journals, you see that people from different universities are able to work together on certain research areas. And you find that most of them have never really met each other. Most of them have never had to, be in the same space to work. But with the use of digital platforms, digital tools, this has become very easy. So when it comes to research, there are different types of tools or different ways you can actually use digital tools, but I'm going to focus on these three because I find them to be the most important for me when it comes to working in the research field. And so the very first is data collection tools. There are so many tools, and I'm going to walk you through a platform where you can get access to as many tools as possible, which I think for me is the most important part of what I'm going to be sharing here today. So data collection is very key when it comes to research. And I'm very sure you heard our keynote speaker talking about the importance of data. Data is very, very important. How you collect it, how you analyze it, how you actually, process all of the information that you're able to get is very important. And so data collection tools, quite efficient and accurate data collection is very, very important. So digital tools helps you to gather data, sometimes in real time, depending on what kind of data you're trying to capture, and also helps you to process it. We also have data analysis tools, right, that helps you to analyze some of these tools. Some of us know SPSS, and all of those other tools. There are so many others now with the invention of AI, and so many people coming up with so many other creative platforms. So data collection, data analysis, and collaboration, all of these improve the research work that you do, helps you to streamline your communication, interactive and dynamic data visualizations. It just helps you do things much more creatively. And I was saying that I'm going to share with you a platform where you can get most of these tools or all of these tools. And that platform is called AI Explorer. So as a researcher, you want to be able to do as much as you can do in very little time, especially when some of us have to do so many things. So whether it's for your assignment that you just need help with, now I'm laying emphasis on the word help, because one thing we find in our generation is a lot of people are dependent now on tools, digital platforms or digital tools, and forgetting the fact that there were traditional ways in which we used to do things. For one, I think one thing that I will not be dependent on is having to actually get the AI to write for me at all times because I'm more of a paper to pen person, right? And that's my journal there. I always write everything because it helps me to process and come up with ideas faster. So dependency should not be something we as researchers should inculcate or should build. And I'm going to talk about dependency much later. But let's look at some of these tools that you can use for yourself as a researcher. I don't know if my screen is being shown. I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know, Oma, if my screen is showing, because this is going to be practical.
Yes,
Can you
Ella, we
see?
can see the screen. Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Very.
perfect. Thank you so much. All right, so the website is called AI Explorer, and I'm showing you this website because if I'm to start talking about the different tools that are available, we might lose track of time and we'll spend the whole time here. There are so many tools that help you to write, tools that help you to gather the data, tools that help you to summarize, tools that help you to get the major points in maybe your articles, you're trying to get resources, tools that help you with citations, right? And so many others. So if you come to this platform, AI Explorer, and this will help you not just for research, anyone who is looking for any digital tool platform or any AI platform that will make life easier for you. You have over 5,000 tools here that you can actually use to your benefit. So what you can do is, you see it is categorized in free AI, freemium, which means you get what is it called, free trial, right? And then paid, fully paid, no free trial. It's just there, you have to pay for it. So to get the tools that you want, just come here and select a category, right? You can see we have different categories: AI detection, AI useful, amazing, blah, blah, blah. So many: education, e-commerce, extensions, face swap, everything that you need in the categories that you want. So we're going to focus on education. So if I come here to education, you can see there are 193 education related tools that you can use. And here they are, right? Pepexly AI is a search engine that gives precise answers to complex questions. We have Notion, we have Poe, we have Chat PDF. I love Chat PDF. I use Chat PDF a lot because it helps you to, read documents faster. So you want to just extract the major information from it, maybe the methodology, the research questions in the article that you're reading. You could use Chat PDF to actually get that information very quickly. There is also Quillbot. A whole lot of students use Quillbot. I'm sure a lot of us know about Quillbot, and it's very, very useful for a lot of people. There is Tome AI, helps in creating your PowerPoint presentation. There's Fireflies, helps in, getting notes during your meeting. So if you're a researcher that does interviews, you're a qualitative researcher like I am. I'm a qualitative researcher, and you carry out interviews online, for example, you could have Fireflies installed on your Zoom app, and Fireflies will automatically transcribe your recordings for you in text. Now, when it transcribes it, you are able to read through it and edit. Now, what this does for you, if you are a qualitative researcher, is it saves you the time of actually having to pay someone to type out everything that is being said in like 30, 40 minutes of interviews. I remember during my master's thesis, I interviewed about 35 people for my research work, which was focused on the rape culture in Nigeria. And I had to pay someone to actually listen to every recording that I had done to transcribe it for me. And that was really the most pain tasking thing I had to do. And so with Fireflies, it just takes out that that work from you. You're not having to do that. Just install the app, the software on your Zoom app, and you're very good to go. And it's totally free, right? You can do what you need to do for free. And then you have DeepL, which is also translation tool. For those of you who are, researching in different languages, you can easily translate what you have to do. And it goes on and on and on and on. Paraphrasing tools, Axe PDF, which is another one, ChatDoc, Searchaholic, let me see. Yes, Site.ai. Site.ai is very, very helpful when it comes to searching and evaluating scientific articles. So on this platform, you can check out as many articles as possible based off on what you are actually researching for, right? And then there is one other one that I'm looking for to show you guys. There is Humata AI, also for PDFs. There's Grammarly, which a lot of us know about. There is Scholarly. It summarizes very large text or articles and extracts the data of your choice. This one, very sweet. If you just want to get the information from, you've read the article, but you need to extract the data from it, the information from it, you need to, summarize the long text, just get the key points if you want. Scholarly is also very good. There are so many. You can see there are over 17 pages here that are very helpful for you. I'm also going to check out the other sections for it, which helps you. A lot of people are good at using ChatGPT for their work. And it's the most common tool most researchers know about. But ChatGPT is not as informed as you are, and so it should not take out the role of your humanity from it. ChatGPT should be more or less an ideation hub for you. I want every researcher listening right now to look at it that way. Sort of get ideas or a direction on how your writing should go, and not get the writing per se from ChatGPT. It's not the only platform out there. In fact, all these AI tools, if it's not helping you with tasks, that is not writing, don't use them to write, because sometimes you cannot verify the information that it's giving you. And as a researcher, the role of your mind is still very important, right? So you can keep checking and checking all of these platforms to get any tool that you want. I think I'm going to stop here. Any tool entirely that you want for your research, right? You're going to be able to get them from there. So going back to my presentation about, yes, where was I? Yes, about AI tools, challenges and considerations. Just quickly to round off everything I have said, in a world where people are finding it difficult to balance between having to depend on AI tools, right? Or having to use digital tools to help with their research, or people not being so conversant with digital tools, you'll find that there are a lot of challenges and also considerations that people would definitely have. And the very first is data privacy and security. You find that there are so many deep fakes, that's like the very first huge privacy issue, deep fakes, the fact that you give in information and information is not safe online, the fact that you as a researcher, you are gathering information, but you're not ensuring the privacy of your participants. So as much as possible, when using online tools, digital platforms, we need to ensure that you're complying with the data protection regulations. It's not something that we should ignore, because places like Europe, for example, they take their GDPR very, very seriously. And if there is a breach, you can be sued for it. So as someone who is in the research field, you need to be very careful with data and ensure that you're being very smart with using all of these platforms. Also, digital literacy is a very huge challenge. There are so many people who are still used to the old way of doing things. The old way is not bad, but the new way is here and it has come to stay. So, being able to balance in terms of getting aware, educated about some of these digital platforms would help you to, know how to use these tools and when to use it, because sometimes you don't really need to use some of these tools. You can just use the traditional method that we're used to. So training researchers to effectively use the digital tools is a way that digital literacy or illiteracy can be solved. And cost and accessibility for people who are in third world countries like Nigeria, for example, having to access some of these tools might be difficult. And that also happens not just Nigeria, other third world countries where data is an issue, right? Having to access some of these tools will be an issue also because they are ignorant. So as much as possible, if you're a researcher here, you need to crave for knowledge. You need to be a very voracious reader. I didn't learn how to use these tools in school. I wasn't taught. It's more of a self-taught thing, and that's because I was very interested in wanting to learn. I'm a very voracious reader. I do a lot of that. I want to learn as many things as possible. So to be able to access these things, you need to actually do a lot of research and try to find the ones. I've shown you a platform that you can get as many tools as possible. There are so many other platforms, but this one is like the easiest to access and shows you the free ones, the paid ones. And so you're able to balance the cost of the tools without maybe having to pay for some of them. But sometimes to get the best, you have to pay. So balancing the cost of tools with their benefits, if you have to do a research that requires you to use some certain tools for content analysis, for thematic analysis, you have to pay for these tools and you have to learn these tools. So it's very important for you to do your research, identify the tools, check out their benefits before you actually go on to pay for them, so that you're not just paying for anything that's not beneficial to you. And like I was saying earlier, dependency is a very, very huge challenge that we find right now. Students depending on AI and becoming dormant. So you are a researcher, you are a student, you're going to school for a reason. You need to learn to not become dependent and not get lazy. You need to learn to see this as a helper and not the worker. So you are the worker, that is the helper, because it is the information that we give to AI that is being used to train these AI systems. AI is not as smart as we think it is. It can be smart, but we make it smart because we give it the information that it uses, to give us feedback. So as much as possible, let's try as students not to depend solely on AI. Let's try to still use the traditional method because it still works, right? And so my final thoughts with you is embrace digital tools because they are the future of research, right? Learn how to use these tools. Research as much as possible. There is a tool for everything to save your life, to save your time, to save your money. If you're finding something quite difficult, go online, search for those tools, Google it. Google is your friend. If you don't know how to use it, go to YouTube. YouTube is your best friend when it comes to learning things. Also, embrace collaboration. As a researcher, you cannot work in silos. You don't know everything, and so you need other people, and digital tools gives you the opportunity to collaborate with people, so you do not have an excuse. Work with other people from different schools, from different fields, and leverage the tools that you have to make this work. Also, prioritize data security, like I talked about, very important. And finally, explore new methods. Keep yearning for new ways to do things because the world is going very, very digital. And in the nearest future, a lot of things that used to be done traditionally, sadly, would not be done anymore. So the future of research is digital. And by embracing and effectively using digital tools, you as a researcher can enhance efficiency, collaboration, and also the impact of your research. And so I hope that with these very few words that I've been able to share with you, you have learned something and I have expanded your mind to the importance of learning and working with digital tools. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Ella, for that amazing presentation on the roles of digital tools in research development. That was very
Wow.
impacting. And there are
Thank
lots
you.
of things that you said, especially the types of data tools and the AI tools, AI Explorer. We never knew that that existed actually. So I'm so happy
No,
that
you know.
you put that to our knowledge. Now you have given us more work to go and explore these options. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ella, our president,
Thank you.
NSU Nigeria, and communication expert in research assistance. Thank you so much, Ella.
Applaud the
Thank you.
same. Thank
Thank you
you.
for
We can see the direct line between what you have presented and what mommy has presented because we could see mommy nodding and smiling and all that. I don't know. Yes, we can see. I don't know, mommy. Is there anything you want to, from my own point? Because we saw you nodding your head and smiling, and
And
uh,
taking notes. Um,
yes,
yeah, and taking notes. Thanks, Ella. That was
thank
very
yeah,
wonderful.
thank you,
When
mom.
you talk about being, more modern in how we do things, I think I have a lot to do. I wrote that that website of the AI Explorer, and I'm going to
Yes,
be looking at that. And I mean, tell my friend too. My
yeah,
friend the historian,
yeah,
because she has
yeah.
a company that does all of this for her. If she can do things in a way that will be very efficient using tools that we do things for her without going through a second step of, interpreting and whatever. Anyway, thank you very much. It's very, very nice. I'm happy
Yeah.
about that. And we kept talking about the same thing about people being themselves, not losing themselves, to these AI tools that we do things for them. Rather, they need to use their minds and they have to collaborate. So thank you very much. That's very wonderful.
Thank you
Thank
thank you
so
you.
so
much.
much.
I mean,
Thank you.
and the other part, the direct part between collaboration. You talked about
Mentorship.
collaboration and idea sharing. Mom talked about idea sharing, and you talked about collaboration. Peer review. You can't be in a bubble. That gives you ignorance. Becomes problematic because then your information is limited. And thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you. You want to
Thank
add
So,
any
you.
other?
no,
All right.
perfect.
So we'll be going on to our next guest, who is a senior lecturer with many years of experience. She has many years of experience, and she's going to be delivering a very serious conversation today. Mastering research skills, building a foundation for academic success. So I think this is where business and academic come hand in hand for sustainability. I think
Absolutely.
so. Dr. Frances Sule, we thank you very much. We are handing the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Omar and Frank, for having me here. I think it goes without saying that our keynote speaker, Dr. Fumi, has covered a lot. She has actually drawn on the field of clinical research to clearly illustrate the research journey, providing very good examples along the way. And Ella as well has covered, that role of digital tools in research, but she has also cautioned and I think I'll put it the way Dr. Fumi framed it, which is people not kind of losing themselves along the way, but realizing that is what we feed into the AI that will give us, a good outcome. I'm not going to spend too much time elaborating on things because they have done a very excellent job already. So I will just stick to some key things, which is I'm going to be focusing on these core skills, what research skills is about, and in that process, highlighting the core competencies you need for a very successful research output. So if you could move to the next slide, please. Okay, I think I can do that from here. Okay, so that, like I just said, I would introduce research skills that form the backbone of successful academic research, alongside which we will discuss the core steps involved in the research journey. So when we talk about research skills, what is it about? Research skills encompasses a wide range of competencies from information literacy to critical analysis, all vital for facilitating deeper understanding and stronger performance in academic setting. Okay, so it is very important because these skills extend beyond your academic environment. So not only is it vital for academic success, they're also crucial in your professional setting as well, where the ability to analyze, synthesize, and present information can set you apart. So I'm just going to go straight, like I said, what I'm trying to do now, just to point you to understand, to the certain competencies that you need as you go along the research journey. So as students, for those of you already studying, you will know that the first thing you receive, it could be an assignment brief where your lecturer has posted the assignment. Everybody's rushing to look at it to say, oh, do I understand it? Sometimes you check with other people, the understanding of the assignment. So you understand, it's very important to first understand the assignment brief. What are you being asked to do? It could be a research you're working on. It could be your PhD research. It could be your dissertation research. So for those of you who are not yet within the higher education setting, these are the kind of things you come across. Every module you cover in your program would definitely have a way of assessing you. So, but typically within this the Western world, they tend to be report writing, which are attached to certain assignments brief. And when you're doing your final dissertation, which is a final project at the end of your program, it tends to generally be dissertation, which is big. So it can depend on the department you're in. It can be anything from 6,000 up to I don't know how many thousand words for some people of writable. You could see 6,000, 8,000, even 10,000 essay research you need to write. So the first thing is when you get either your assignment brief or your research brief, you need to understand it. What are they asking me to do? And to do that, and as you can see in this slide I'm sharing, you see I'm kind of highlighting some key competencies, some key research skills you need to successfully execute each stage of your research journey. So you will need to know, carefully read the brief, understand what it's asking you to do. This is where your ability to analyze comes in. You need to break down the complex information to grasp every detail required. It's also crucial to pay close attention to everything. This helps you catch small details and prevent mistakes that could weaken your research outcome. Okay, then you need to, after you understand the brief, the next step is to organize your thoughts and plan your work by making an outline. An outline means simply, maybe you say, in my assignment, I'm going to have these 3 sections or 4 sections. So what will be the content of each section? So kind of outline, just put in an outline. It's something you can revisit, but it's something that kind of gets you started on your way. So you need to be organized. And that being organized kind of helps you set up a clear structure for your research. And thinking critically ensures you plan your research logically and effectively. The third step is to look up relevant literature. So once you've already written your outline, and I think that's what Dr. Fumi covered this earlier, when you have that assignment or research brief, you now need to know what are your objectives, what questions are you trying to answer. So when you start answering the questions of maybe go down the line of what is XYZ or why has this. So you then need to then go find the literatures that cover that area. So you then need to look up relevant literature. So being good at finding and using information is key here. It helps you find, evaluate, and use the right information to build a solid base for your study. Critical thinking is also needed to examine sources carefully and blend different ideas that relate to your research topic. If your study needs you to collect your own data, so for example, some assignments are not will not ask you to do research, but when you're doing like your final dissertation, you'll be expected to go get some data. Dr. Fumi covered a lot around data collection, data analysis. So in the case where you are expected to collect data, you will need to know how to set up and follow through with an effective data collection plan. This means choosing the right methods and tools that ensure your data is correct and relevant to your study. And like Dr. Fubi and also Ella have cautioned, ethical issues are very key, very, very key. Whenever you're collecting data or using data or handling data, you have to be very, very careful because there are ethical considerations. That's something to also be competent at. Then with all your data and resources ready, the next step is to write your report. This demands good writing skills to clearly share your findings. You must also combine information logically. You need to bring your other information together to build a strong argument and critically examine your findings to provide deep insight and strengthen your report. Lastly, presenting your findings, which is very crucial. You need to be able to communicate clearly and engagingly, avoid plagiarism, and appropriately reference relevant sources. So also knowing how to use visuals like maps, graphs, and pictures effectively helps you, to show your complex data in a very understandable way. So in conclusion, I'm just going to move on to my last slide. Being equipped with the key competencies required to complete each step of your research would enable successful research output. And mastering research skills is not just about enhancing your academic performance, it's about deepening your understanding of your subject matter and improving your overall engagement with your studies. Key for making you stand out within a professional environment. And that's how I think Ella cautioned at the end, taking your time as a student, you're paying for this, your studies is the time to build yourself, because it doesn't stop in academia. Sometimes it's painful to learn new things, as all of us know, but if you really take your time to master these skills, they definitely will make you stand out in a professional environment. You can't, unless you're not planning to move forward in your professional career. So thank you everyone for listening. I'll hand over back to Frank and Omar.
Wow, wow,
Thank you
wow,
so much,
wow. You
Mrs.
have
Obey.
you have given us a good one, and we are bringing the able doctor back on to respond to this. Mommy, you have listened to Dr. Obey, and she has presented her case for research development.
Yeah,
I mean,
I am.
yes,
Thank you, Dr. Obehi. Thank you. That's very, very succinct, and you nailed each point, especially as everyone is trying to develop themselves. You've given the key needs in terms of the knowledge that is needed for each step, each category. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it's like, I think, like merging my talk with yours in terms of people, what we need to be successful. We need, like you said, we need to make sure that we have all those skill sets. um, Otherwise it's going to be, unless, like you said, we are not, the students are not planning to advance. But in order to be successful as a researcher, we need to make sure that we keep all those in mind, the skill set that we need.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
and
Thank you.
if I can state further, I can see that the issue of development, okay, in as blacks, if I can throw that in, I think more research is needed for development in manufacturing, whatever manufacturing can increase the integrity of a country. So, as Africans, I think we should grow our research skills. Yes,
And
because
understanding the
that is the only
background.
way. That is the only way. So, thank you, Dr. Frances. Thank you, Ma. We are going to go on to the next presenter, Assistant Dr. Olasui Oba. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Uh, I hope you permit me to say save the best. You know what they say, save the best for the last. But I hope this is the case here. I want to appreciate first of all the other speakers, the keynote speakers, and of course the others as well, and how they've pinpoint these areas of research skills development. And my own part is going to touch, the major sections of what they've said so far. So I'm going to at least put a bit of more educational perspective to it too as well, because that is where I am too currently. Anyways, my name is Dr. Oluwasui Oba, and I'm from Nigeria, of course, and currently an assistant professor at Cyprus International University. And let me say, I'm more of a cross-functional field, multidisciplinary, if you will say. I'm into technology, wastewater chemistry. I'm into adsorption, removal of toxics and organic contaminants from water, and of course from soil. And I'm also into nanotechnology as well as data analysis. So I teach at the university also. I teach analytical chemistry. I teach organic chemistry from Faculty of Pharmacy, Faculty of Engineering, and I also teach statistics and data analysis from the psychology department. So today I'll be going a bit more in the academic line of these research skill development, and my topic would be to briefly discuss the integration of these artificial intelligence that Miss Ella has said earlier on, and its academic integrity, which is very, very important part of a student's success in their research field and, of course, their career. All right. I hope I can just, okay. All right. These are my brief learning outcomes. So I'll just give a bit of information about the AI, which Ms. Ella has succinctly described, in a very, very interesting way too as well. And I will also talk about the how this AI can be integrated in education, and as well as its impact, and of course the academic integrity of this AI. Talking more of the pros and cons of using the AI. Um, okay. Uh, Sorry, permit me. It's a little bit small. I don't know why, but okay. I think this should do. So, technology plays an increasing important role in education, as we all know, and it's considered one of the ways to innovate in this field. Um, the transformation of education to occur, it must provide a stimuli for students to be endowed with this vision, and these can be sustained by the dialogue, the encounter, and of course ethics, which is the importance of these my presentation. Now, the role of these AI has been exponentiated since the pandemic, which has forced most of these educational institutions to shift their educational practices to digital platforms, almost oversight to ensure continuous student learning. However, it is essential to ensure the use of AI is governed by ethical and responsible principles in order to avoid risk or negative impact on the society. The use of AI-based technologies can support education, of course, in several dimensions. For instance, these technologies can play a key role in creating and implementing adaptive learning environments designed to suit each student's unique learning needs and preferences, and as well as to provide the necessary tools for data analysis and, of course, for personalization, which is um, what our most of our keynote speakers have also touched to as well. And since we are discussing the AI integration, I would just like to define the AI as a simply broad class of technologies that allows a computer to perform tasks without requiring human cognition or maybe even in decision making. AI integration in education is a very, very crucial thing that is going on in the world currently right now. When you hear the phrase AI integration or AI implementation, um, one could easily think that in the future, teachers and educators in general will be replaced by this technology. But uh, that is not the case. In the case of AI integration, scientists are now actually trying to find a way to eliminate the human factor, but whereas they are trying to aid both educators and students. In other terms, AI integration for education will help to make the teaching and the learning process more efficient and accessible to all students. Okay. Okay. Someone is sending a message. Okay. Anyway. All right. So the AI integration can help these educators to make most of their time, of course, and of course, both inside and outside the classroom. And they can also intend to change the way students access information. So these are things that Ms. Ella also has touched to as well. Although the AI is slowly finding its way to classrooms. For example, most of my students in class, when I give them some exercises to solve in class, and in the next few seconds they tell me the answer, and I'm like, how did you get the answer? What did you solve? And I see that they just take a picture from the board and they just tell me the answers, and I see some of these tools actually solve the questions for them. Anyways, we are still pretty far away from the time when it becomes the norm, when it will transform the way educators teach and students learn. So this is the biasness of using this AI as a point to see. Some of these integrations of AI can involve administrative work, grading of papers. When we are at home as an educator, teachers don't just study for the next day lessons or lessons, okay? They also grade papers, they correct homeworks, exercises, and so on. So AI can help with that too as well. In fact, it has been doing that for so long, okay, because now we have multiple choice tests. We have using these AI machines to grade these multiple choice questions and so on as well. We also have personalized learning, increased accessibility. Of course, we have remote teaching. If the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us anything, it's that students can find themselves away from their school for a long period of time due to impairment or illness or other reasons. So nowadays, children that live in remote areas, the ones that have limited access to education, so AI can also be of great help in those situations as well. And of course, we have customized textbooks. So these are also can be done using most of these AI technologies that Ms. Heller has also spoke about, and of course, enriching the teacher's knowledge as well. Um, all right. The impact of AI in education is very, very crucial because this is what is ongoing right now. One of the most promising application of AI in education is personalized learning. And this is an approach to education that tailors a learning experiences to the individuals, the needs of each student. We also have the collaborative learning. This approach is also effective in promoting a student's learning and engagement. We have formative assessments. We have teachers' professional development. So AI can be used to support every teacher's development in several ways. And finally, we have the educational administration. AI can automate administrative tasks such as scheduling, record keeping, and of course, this can support educational administration decisions making or by providing data-driven educational policies. Um, Now, this is the pinpoint of my presentation, which is about academic integrity. Now, students often view grades as a let me say primary currency for their future careers without realizing that integrity is also a sought after currency outside the university by maybe their employers, the ones in law firms, or even in medicine. Why academic misconduct can occur for a number of reasons. It often occurs when students feel overwhelmed by their academic work and they struggle to keep up, or they feel pressure to succeed. Now, the purpose of this question, which is why should you learn with integrity, is to remove the idea that students often think of academic integrity as a list of don'ts. Um, don't cheat, don't commit fraud, don't spy, don't plagiarize. But having academic integrity in their work, they are cultivating another important skill and reframing this integrity as a set of list of do's, do this, do that. And by listing these do's, it will become more effective, it will create more value in their work, and of course, it is the right thing to do. Okay, so this is the ideology of creating this academic integrity in research, especially when it comes to using this AI, because it promotes honesty, it promotes responsibility, it promotes professionalism, it promotes courage, and of course, respect. Um, there are pros and cons of using AI, of course. Some of these things are what the other speakers have talked about. So, take for example, if a student using AI for a verbal or synchronous class discussion, if, for example, if English is needed and the student's preferred language, okay, so this AI can improve the ability to share the ideas. But unfortunately, this will create less attention to the speaking person in the class. Excuse me. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm teaching in a class and students are using their phones to communicate or to find solutions to problems in the class. So there are pros and cons of students using AI when it comes to a verbal class discussion as well. Okay, so these are some of the things. I don't want to go through them because of time. Also, so students using AI in writing research paper. So these are some of the things that the other speakers have talked about as well. Um, of course, using these AI technologies, you can get a lot of information from them. You can get structure of your thesis, of your paper, and so on. You can get ideas or ideology of the methodology of your research. You can get a good information of the research. But unfortunately, when you use these writing tools, like Miss Ella already pointed, that these tools should be used to get information of how to, create your research plan, but not to directly pick the information as your article or your paper and so on, or your thesis, for example, because these can result to plagiarism, of course, reduce critical thinking. You definitely have poor writing skills and what have you. So these are the things that we observe while using AI to write research paper. And these days now, our Tommy 10 platform even has AI detector that shows the AI percentages. So I feel like in universities now, it's very possible that in most universities now they have to create a platform whereby there'll be a policy to give students the maximum limit of AI detection in their write-ups, because this is also becoming conversant now. And as well in collecting data, also this was done by the keynote speaker. So when you're collecting data or for a research article or qualitative data or quantitative data using AI, of course, there are pros and cons for it too as well. You can collect this information. AI tools will give you the basic um, research methodology or the tools, the perfect tools to collect these information. But unfortunately, most of these data might be biased, which means that they will become fake. I've seen a lot of students submit their thesis to me, and I don't know how they got the data, but I see that you can't use AI tools to collect quantitative data because definitely they will be fake. So these are things that one should look at when using these AI tools. Okay, all right. So the AI tools are here to stay. We are use them to assist in our academic, not to replace our human, endeavors. So this is very important. In conclusion, academic integrity is an underlying principle of research and, of course, academic practice. And these involves completing your work, your studies honestly and ethically, having respect for the work of others, and most importantly, recognizing your responsibility to ensure a fair assessment. And that's why you are writing and you are paraphrasing and you are referencing other people's work. So when using AI tools to support your learning and in the development of your work, you must maintain good academic practice. Unfortunately, artificial intelligence is going nowhere. We have to work with it. We have to learn with it. We cannot be biased about it. We just have to use it the right way, which is the most important part of the integrity of your work. I think I'll stop here today. Thank you all for listening.
And now we are coming back again to dissect what Dr. Olasuyi has said. Ma, you have heard what he said. AI is going nowhere. We have to learn to live with it. So, I mean, in this context, where do you think the African child stands in terms of consumption of AI, development of technology, and down the line how it applies to them? Because we are still with the book and trying to get the AI, get the idea of the AI. They're already in the system. They're already in the system. But the African child seem to look far off in terms of development, not consumption, development. Where do you think they stand right now?
Yeah, I I sincerely appreciate the presentation, Dr. Luwasui. Thank you very much. That was very wonderful. At the end of the day, the integrity part of it is what amazes me. It's the key. And the fact that going back to our country and the folks, the younger ones, let me put it that way, they are very versed. They know about the AI, they use it all the time. The young ones won't do anything without just going to Google or whatever they need to do, get information. They haven't, I don't think they are, or I don't know how advanced they are, but I know they are using all these tools. My fear is whether they are using it in the right way or not, with high integrity. Are they learning from it, or they are just, getting information and, you know, regurgitating it out? Especially as I think about our students in universities in Nigeria, quite a lot of universities, private universities. I don't know how much they're able to get from the lecturers over there because of all the other issues we have with the I used to be a lecturer there, and I know that it's not an easy task. But at the same time, I think ASU has taken a lot of things in its hand. I don't want to get political, but I like the students to get their education. I'm not sure how much of that they are getting from the notes that they are getting from their lecturers, and at the same time, they have this tool that they can turn to. The smart, a lot of our people are smart. I would say 90 something percent of our students are very smart. But are we smart in the negative way, or can we turn that smartness into a negative way? That's the fear as presented by Dr. Oluwasui. The integrity. We can stop learning if we are not careful, because we have something that we give us what we want, and then we put that together. We give it to lecturers who probably won't have enough time. They just, oh, this is good, and without actually looking at it, because they don't have the time. And I'm sorry, I'm not running our people down. I know the system is not so kind on everybody in the country, the lecturers included. but what type of education are we giving our students? I haven't seen a student that came from our country, Nigeria, to UK, Canada, or US, or anywhere else in the world, in Europe, that haven't succeeded very wonderfully well. So my fear is that that integrity part of it, which Dr. Obehi and Dr. Ella,
Mm,
and myself, have talked about, that we have to be the best researcher we can be, and we have to make sure that we are learning. And that takes me back, as I was listening to Dr. Oluwasuyi, to the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding, and the wisdom that we need if we want to succeed in life, with our career, wherever that will take us to. Even if we don't want to go beyond the first degree, we still need to make sure that we use the knowledge we are gaining, and not just from AI. It has to be that AI knowledge plus our knowledge, our heart, our desires. Build that together to gain that understanding and the wisdom that is needed to succeed.
mm. This is a beautiful one.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Ma. And
Thank you.
in the for Dr. Obehi, I asked Dr. Fumi, the what stage do you think the African child is right now in terms of research, in terms of not just consumption of technology or the infusion of technology into academics, such as the AI, ChatGPT, TikTok, and the rest of them. How ready do you think the African child is in terms of sustainable development and developing technology? Since AI has come to stay, as Dr. Suya said. He said we have to learn to live with it long term. So at what stage and what do you think needs to be done, if any extra has to be done?
Thank you very much for that question. If I get your question correctly, so where are you saying, where do I think the African child is in terms of their skill development and what needs to be done in relation to
Yeah,
research, which
right.
links to all of this development around AI,
Yes,
the way forward? Well,
yes.
I'm just going to be speaking from my experience, and kind of having been in academia for over 10 years here in the UK, and seeing our fellow African people coming in, and seeing where I think they mostly are. Of course, there'll be some who come in, who have been privileged, I would say, to have gone to certain schools or been exposed to certain environment where they've developed their skills, communication skills, like the competencies I've talked about, organizational skills, all of those vital skills needed for successful research. Some are even AI competent, like Dr. Fumi was talking about, but to what extent? But what I've also found is generally there's a general lack, there's a mismatch between our educational system and the Western educational system, that most of them, when they arrive, they don't realize, how big that gap is, and it hits them. So you come, you don't have those. These are skills that are being built through the primary, secondary system here, all the way to university within the UK, for example, and I'm sure America as well. But they are lacking. Many of them are lacking within our own, global South educational system. So there's a difference in the educational system, and that Africans need to deal with when they get here. I'm speaking general Africa, but there might be places in Africa where the educational system are more at par with what's happening here in the global north. So so that's one thing. So I would always encourage that, in terms of next step, like you asked, if you know you are planning to study abroad, before you do so, it's important to kind of develop your skills, ensure you have the research skills that we'll be talking about. Because once you get here, once you get to that school you want to go to in the West or in the global north, as some may say, you find that you just have you're already starting your first module. So in 12 weeks, you need to kind of produce an essay, research, and you don't have any of the skills we've all been talking about, from the keynote speaker, all the way to Oluwa Sui that we've been talking about. So you don't want to be trying to first get used to the environment, changing the environment, culture, and all, and also trying to get on top of, most of the tools here are digital. When you come here, you'll be all your assignments, everything you need for your academic success, they're on one digital platform or the other. So, very important to be equipped to have these skills we're talking about today, so that when you get here, not just even getting here, even when you are wherever you are, Nigeria, Ghana, wherever you are, developing your research skills means when there are very good opportunities, to move up your professional ladder, that you stand out from the rest. So, because, and the world is a, increasingly global market space. So having these skills we've talked about, we've shared with you today, around your research skills, being able to seek out information ethically, being able to go through those thorough research steps. Dr. Fumi really took her time to break down with very good illustrations earlier, as well as the, AI and all the tools we're talking about. If you can really upskill and do it ethically and have those rigorous standards, you will definitely stand out within an academic setting and within, a professional setting. So just to recap, I found that, most of our people who come, they tend to be lacking in those skill set. So if you don't have any within the structured educational environment, you then need to seek it out and kind of upskill yourself. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you very much. You
Very
did
much.
you did more than expected. You expanded and you contrasted, and you turned it around and you got everything right. So I mean, at the end of the day, like Dr. Fumi said, and everybody has said, research is important. It means that we begin to go back to the grassroots and teach research skills development. That is the only way we can either get good leadership, either make good decisions. Technology is coming in, we are still lagging behind, but research would help us bridge the gap. So I think at this time, we hope our listeners out there, you have enjoyed our presentation, and well, this is the question and answer section, which means whatever questions you have, you can send to our social media handles, and we will make sure the respective mentor whose discipline will cover that, will get it, answer it, and then we send it back to you. So at this stage, we want to thank Dr. Fumi Ajayi. Wonderful. Her work is outstanding, and we are happy to associate with her. We want to thank Dr. Olasui Oba. He has taken his time out. He's very busy schedule. He's a very busy man. He doesn't talk too much. He says very little, but they are quite impactful. And then we want to thank Dr. Obey Sule, a very wonderful researcher. She's outstanding as well. And we want to thank Miss Ella. She's very she had to leave because she had another engagement.
Yeah.
So we gave her leave. So thank you very much. And we are going to have it depends on the demand. We are going to have another sit down like this, coffee, water, nuts, and put pen to paper. So if you like to join our next program, follow us on our social media handle on YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and we will be sure to get those questions from you. And thank you, everybody, and have a great day. Thank you.
And for those asking for the slides, you can send us a message, and then we can be able to share the slides with you from the presenters. Thank you
Yes.
so much,
Thank you
everyone.
very much, and have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Bye bye.
You
Thank you,
too.
Omar Frank.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody. Thank you, Dr. Fumi. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Nice
Okay.
much.
meeting you all.
Nice.
Have a good
Yes,
time.
Ma.
bye.
Bye.